Hello, folks. So I tried to do this as a 1 minute short and just didn't have the time. But today I want to talk to you guys about a material. Uh, and it's used to coat things. That should give you kind of a hint of what material I'm talking about today. Uh, you probably heard what clicked on, and well, this is not made of gold. I'm not that rich. You know, I can't afford a knife made out of gold, and well, my practical sensibilities, I wouldn't want a knife made out of gold. Gold's extremely malleable. In fact, if you were to take a thimble of gold, you could hammer out across an entire tennis court. So, what is this mystery material that makes my knife look like it's made out of gold? Well, obviously, not even made out of gold, because if you look closely, you can see the silver edge of the aluminum and steel of this cheap gas station knife beneath. It's called titanium nitride. Titanium nitride is a very interesting compound. It's a very interesting alloy. Titanium and nickel, you know, titanium nitride it's in its name. There's titanium and then there's nitride, which is a compound of nickel and other materials, magnesium, zinc, maybe a couple other things. But titanium nitride does several things, like allow you to add gold colors to things, or you might have even seen like the mall ninja katanas that are like bright red or neon blue or iridescent pink, or maybe they're purple and then when you tilt them they turn kind of a different color. This doesn't, obviously. That's more lighting, but that's all titanium nitride, and there's actually different versions of it. In fact, on a more traditional knife, you might still have titanium nitride. You might have a different form of it. It's actually, even though titanium itself is an expensive material, you need so little titanium that titanium nitride is relatively cheap. Titanium nitride's also mass produced. So, because one of the things is sometimes it's used as a additive to steel. And the interesting thing about these two is they're down to a very niche. No, I shouldn't say niche isn't the word. They're down to a very specific gap. In fact, they're down to 0.0005 hundredths of a micron. That's very small gapping. That's on a home telescope. Well, not telescope, but on a home device where you're looking at molecules and things like that, you could not see between titanium nitrate particles. Now, on a much larger, or a much superior one in like a science lab or something, you could. But it would also take a lot of energy. You would have to bounce a lot of electrons off of it. Now, that being said, what the hell does that mean in English? Well, it means that the surface is very, very fine and very, very smooth. Which does a lot of things. One, it's protective. A lot of medical equipment is coated in titanium nitride as a non-toxic alternative, because, well, when you have medical equipment, it's probably going to somebody's body. The other thing is it's very durable. It doesn't really rust or corrode into the elements despite having a large quantity of nitride, which nitride by itself kind of does do those things. The other thing is not only is it very smooth and can be used in medical equipment, all that, but if you were to make a Thompson submachine gun and then coat it in titanium nitride, instead of firing at its usual fire rate, probably push closer to 1,100 rounds per minute, which is something Matt at Demolition Ranch actually figured out, because, he sent his Thompson in to be coated in titanium nitride so to have a nice golden color. In fact, his Thompson looks exactly like this. Now, as far as other colors, I'm sure you guys are curious because, if you're having a home defense weapon, submachine gun, fully automatic, which I strongly don't recommend because those are so expensive that if you do have to defend yourself with it, it's going to sit in a weapons locker in a police station for like 5-10 years. But I digress. There are more tactical colors. In fact, there's titanium carbon nitride, and that one is actually as black as my hair. And my hair is jet black. It's very black. And you've seen it. You've seen it everywhere. In fact, you don't even know that you've seen it. It's been used to coat a wide variety of things, from frying pans to other gas station knives. It's been used to coat doorknobs. It's been used to coat just hundreds of different things. We look at it every day and we don't even notice it. And the other thing is, it's not just exclusive to coating it with knives. And this really is like one of the cheapest gas station knives that I could have bought. I bought it on clearance for $7.50, which is funny because these nitride coated gas station knives that are golden like this are actually more valuable than the $15 ones. This one would sell for like $30 now, despite being abused and used and all that. But regardless, you see this stuff and this coating everywhere, and it comes in different colors. It's very cheap and everything, and titanium nitride's an interesting material. And guess what else you might have seen it on? You might have seen it on cars. Titanium nitride has, because it's also within 0.000500 microns, 500ths of a micron, it has a unique property of light. Depending on how light refracts against it, it can look different. When I shine it like this, it looks gold. But if I tilt it, even though this is a perfectly gold color, it looks black. And so you can, if you do two different colors and you do a shade of one color, lighter and less transparent, and you do the intensity and everything, you can get this effect where the light refracts on it, and you can see a car when it's driving by go from like orange to green. And it's not exclusive to any particular colors. Now, there's plastic wrap that can do the same thing. But the plastic wrap is rubber and then a couple other things mixed together, and then a fluid material, and then it sticks on your car like a sticker. And it's good. It's great even, but it's not as durable. But the spraying, the titanium nitride, well, look at this. This looks brand new. In fact, you'll notice that if you can even see the scratches, I guess you can. The scratches don't even make it all the way through titanium nitride. And every other material, if anybody has ever used a knife for a tool purpose, they know that scratches usually make it through. The other thing is titanium nitride is also kind of a problem because it's really hard to sharpen, because it's not easy to scratch. It's tough. It's not as tough as straight up titanium, but it's added to steel to make steel tougher. So it's a very strong and durable material. So putting it on your car, it's not going to have any issues with tree sap. It doesn't care if your cat lays on top of the hood. Your kid slams car doors. Guess what? It's not just going to flake off. And that's also another kind of interesting thing is, well, nowadays when you see somebody with if you see somebody with a golden gun, more than likely it's titanium nitride. In fact, you can have a company like Magnum Research of Israel, or IMI, Institute of Magnum Research Israel. They actually will coat factory guns in it, and those guns are often referred to as like the tiger pattern of the Desert Eagle, and that's what it is. It's titanium nitride, and even if you have a really big caliber like 50 Action Express, there's no durability issues with it flaking off or anything. In fact, the gun actually might run smoother than the others. And if you have something where it's like, I don't know, Saddam Hussein's gold-plated AK-47, because that's the thing, which just shows you just how out of touch reality that guy is. Well, one, people would want to steal it because they can melt it down for gold. You can't really do that with titanium nitride. In fact, titanium in general has a few interesting properties. Titanium, when you hit it really hard, it likes to explode. Kinetic energy likes to explode off of titanium. The harder you hit titanium, the more likely and the bigger an explosion you're going to cause. That's why you can't just forge with titanium. There's actually a really specific process with titanium itself. But the other thing is, titanium also likes to catch fire. It doesn't burn, but it catches fire. And with that in mind, you can't melt it off of something. You can't melt it off of something to get its original content. Not very easily. Not in a way that you could take it to the pawn shop and sell it for money. And another interesting thing, going back to what I mentioned earlier, gold is extremely malleable. So when you take somebody, because you have to have an artist, a really specific person, and they have to know how to blue a gun in gold. And it's not the same as dipping, the parts of the gun into a vat and tempering it, and it comes out, silver or black, or there's the bluing. No, these guys actually scrape all of the bluing off of the gun, if there is any. And they take a special little tool and they put little tiny scratches. And they have magnifying glasses and everything in a very, very steady hand, and they very carefully scratch the surface of the gun on a microscopic scale. They do that by hand. It has to be done by hand. No machine is capable of doing it the way they do it. And then they take flakes of gold and they very lightly hammer. And even I can't do the light technique in which they hammer with. They hammer in the flakes of gold into the gun itself, and they do really ornate designs and patterns. Okay? And they do all this, and then the guns are put on display and they're never used. You can't fire them. Because if you fire them, even if you fire something like, 7.2 Norinco, something that is infamously bad at actually killing things, that has been remarked to not even kill a squirrel. With that in mind, the gold comes right off, just flakes off. The other thing is gold. There's different quantities of gold, and when you go into a pawn shop and try to sell gold, they usually use acid, because they're trying to figure out the purity of gold, and they're trying to figure out the level of purity. And if you have 24 karat gold, it doesn't burn away in acid because it's pure gold. But if you don't have 24 karat gold, if you have 23 karat gold, the acid reacts. It eats away at the other material. Well, even if you're an infamous dictator, you probably can't afford to do this. Because whether you plate the gun in gold or the gold itself is not that pure, well, if the gold itself is not that pure, it eats away and the gold is gone and it's off the gun. Even if the gold is completely pure, the acid eats away at the gun beneath the gold and it's gone. There is acid on your fingertips. It's an oily acid, and as you touch the gun, the more you touch the gun, the more the gold dissipates. It comes off. You can see fingerprints and thumbprints. If you there's actually dog statues where people have pet the dog, and it's caused the oxidized layer protecting the statue to actually rot away over time. It's pretty interesting. But with titanium nitride, I can touch it all I want. I've had this sucker for years. In fact, I've had this knife, let's see, I'm 28 now. Yeah, I've had this knife for 7 years. I've had this since I was 21. So, and I have, by the way, I have touched this and everything, and I've used it to put out cigars. So I've taken a hot ember and just pressed it right against the blade itself to put it out. I have cut things with it. I have used it as a tool. I have cut cords with it. I have rope. I have oh, hey, what's this weird thing? Or is that possum really dead? Ooh, it's, belly kind of exploded, gaseous guts because it's a rotting corpse. Okay, I've done a lot of these things, and it's no worse from wear. If you look real closely, too, there's actually a metal that's etched on top of it. That's definitely aluminum, maybe steel. And that itself is actually rotting away. And you have this ornate pattern, but I guarantee you in a few years, this is, over time, I could probably pass this on to people down the line. This ornate pattern is going to be gone. It's just going to be one solid gold color. The screws would probably have to be replaced. The plastic will have to be replaced. All these things would have to be replaced on it, but the gold color and everything would still, even 100 years, 200 years, 300 years after my death, this will still look like shiny gold. Fascinating stuff. Whoever came up with titanium nitride, it's a very interesting material. Like I said, there's other colors besides gold. Genius. Just really, really fantastic material, and just kind of a genius type thing. And I always found titanium nitride to be particularly interesting. So